They said in her lifetime, when she was, younger, she was one of the most formidable women in the community. When she was very neat, very well presented, always very well dressed, not lavishly, but very well, very well presented, and she had presence. And they said when she walked down the street, everyone made way, especially the men, because she will point out to them and say, Yusuf, I hear you've been beating your wife. What nonsense is that? So a lot of them will see her and go the other way.
Yeah.
It was a force to be reckoned with. And so when they told me that, I thought, I was speechless. I thought, I never heard that before. So they said, you are exactly like her. They stopped short. They stopped short of saying I was her reincarnation, because I was knowing her, so I couldn't have been her reincarnation. But they were passing on the message that we are connected.
Yeah.
So I did the rites. Now, my grandmother, she started ailing. This was around 2017, towards the end of 2017. She started ailing. Then she sent for me, and I went. And my grandfather, my maternal grandfather, had 3 wives. My grandmother was the first wife. Then there was the second and the third. Now, the second wife passed in 2012.
Okay.
And when she passed, she too was elderly. She was in her 80s when she passed. My husband was in office then as governor of Ekiti State. So I went down to our hometown, with, a couple of people in tow, and it was very grand and everything. So when my grandmother started to ail in 2017, the youngest wife started to cry. Like, Mama, we don't know what is wrong with Mama. Mama is fading and so on. So the neighbor then said, if she dies, there will be a grand burial, there will be a grand funeral. It's just that it won't be as grand as when her daughter was still first lady.
Yeah.
When her granddaughter was still first lady. So unfortunately, my grandmother got to hear about that conversation. So she summoned me. And she made the second request she ever made to me in her life. She said, when I die, I want my funeral to be grand. This woman never asked me for a new television. She never asked me for a fridge or a car. When I die, I want my funeral to be grand. I want it to be grander than that of her co-wife.
Yeah.
But I listened. And do you know, when she passed, and we were not, my husband was minister at the time. We talk of, no, he was minister. But God has a way of providing. I had friends. I had people who rallied. And her funeral, there has been nothing like that in that community till today.
Wow.
And what I took away from that was, this old woman in her life, what mattered to her was her sense of dignity and she felt that it was beneath her for someone to feel that she would not get what she deserved just because her daughter was not somewhere. She knew what her worth was, and she also knew what I was capable of. So so that request, I saw it not as a frivolous request of wanting a grant. I saw it as her calling me forth to rise.
Benny.
Like, child, you got this.
Yeah.
And do you know what? A few months after we had that funeral for her, against all odds and expectations, my husband won election for the second time.
Gosh. Yeah.
Against all odds.
Yeah.
And so some of the family members were saying, it's Mama's prayers. I said, I don't know if it's Mama's prayers. All I know is I feel blessed.
Benny.
So, and ancestral healing, care, honor, knowing how to go back and trace where we are from and what they're handing down to us.
Yeah.
I ride on the shoulders of women who never called themselves feminists, who probably couldn't even, they wouldn't even have been able to spell the word,
Yeah.
but who lived their lives caring for their families, caring for their communities. They worked so hard. They were industrious.
Yeah.
This was not a generation of women asking men for 2,000 naira and 5,000 naira. They lived every single day of their lives with value and dignity. That's the life I want to lead. And that's the life I want my daughters to lead.
And you see, just by listening to you, those words are so powerful, because as you're talking, I understand it. And it also, the thing about ancestral healing is a remembering, it's a returning, it's, you know, and all these things we need in the day, in our lives today, the lives that we're living today. We require to go to have those memories, to be told stories. Like this is such a powerful story. And
oh, there's
something.
one more to it. Sorry to
Oh yeah.
interrupt you. There's a bit more to it.
Okay.
So when everyone was running around, you know, preparing for, she hadn't passed then, but we knew that it was imminent. And then my mom and my aunties then shared this story about how my grandfather used to beat his wives, all three of them. He cut this long cane. Yes, he kept this long cane in, you know, his room. So if any of his three wives displeased him, he would bring out the cane and start, you know, whipping them. He and my grandmother and the second wife were actually age mates. The third wife was very young, but those two wives were age mates. The second wife lived with depression for most of her life because she lost so many children. She lost 12 out of 13 children. So she lived with depression most of her life, and eventually she had Alzheimer's. So she was not very healthy. But my grandmother was very healthy. My grandmother was a farmer. She was tall. She was strong. So I think at some point the woman just decided, what the? So she will put on her farmer's shorts, grab her own cane, go to the front of the house and say, oh, yeah, come out. You want to beat? Come out. So my grandfather will stand in front of the house, shouting at her, but he won't be able to come into the street to start beating his wife because that would have been too shameful.
Yeah.
So, and then people will come around. What about it? He wants to fight. Come, let him fight. And I sat there listening to my mom and my aunt. Are you still? They said, yes. I said, why haven't I heard this before? Feminism was not imported into our communities.
Absolutely.
We have always had resistance to patriarchy.
Yeah.
We have always had women like my grandmother, like my great-grandmother, who have known when to fight, when to push back, when to be silent, but when to stand on truth. Do you know that when we were preparing the funeral program, I made sure that story found its way into the program.
Good.
Because I felt it was important for people to know.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. I remember something you said one of the times that I was back home and around you, and I don't know who asked the question or what the conversation was about, but you said one thing that you know for sure is that you wouldn't be short of people to celebrate, to provide you with a fantastic funeral. At the time, I was thinking, oh no, that's so morbid. But it was something about the way you said it, you know, in that assurance and knowledge that there are people out there, and you weren't talking about kin, you weren't talking about relatives, but you were just saying that you know that there are people who have love for you. And I and at the time I stored it away.